So hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video. So in today's video we're going to continue on the X-130 and obviously balsa sheeting. And yeah, I guess let's get started. I think I'm gonna get the bottom side of the wings done up and the rudder one side, and as soon as that's done I think I'm gonna go to sleep because it's fairly late already, and then tomorrow we'll do the other side, and I think at the end of the weekend this thing will be done. So depending how much I can work on it, I'll do a bit of work on the interceptor meanwhile, like switching here and there. So no pressure with any of these planes. So yep, let's get going. So guys, top sides of the wing are done. So I actually did one in with wood glue here yesterday to compare it. So this one weighs 20 grams more than this one. This one's done with CA, and honestly I think the wood glue is worse because you have these big blobs everywhere on the side, which is just unnecessary weight, and they don't compensate with anything. And with the CA is going into the wood and draining kind of the wood with CA, making it stronger, and you've gotten a nice bond everywhere. You don't have ugly blobs anywhere. So I feel like the wood glue is honestly unnecessary and just adds unnecessary weight. But yeah, on like very critical areas which should be very strong, just so that's something that it really holds forever, we'll put wood glue like around the perimeter of our servo lids. We'll put some just to make sure that never comes out, because that has constant movement on it, and you need a bit of an elastic glue on that, or stronger glue. I could go around with epoxy, but that'd be overkill. So yeah, I mean, yeah, everything's glued nicely. This one obviously took way longer. This one took me like an hour, and this took me like maybe 30 minutes. So it's a big time saver, and it's a weight saver, this CA. And yeah, this is what we use. It's the activator here. This is what Tom uses for CA. And yeah, we'll get the bottom done now. So the next thing we will have to do, so I did a bit of organizing down here. We've gotten our parts bin. So we've gotten these little blocks that Tom cuts out for you with a laser, and these are backing pieces that go in like this behind your holes for the what's it called again, the hinges. So we'll get those glued in with a bunch of CA, and then we'll get the top clipped off and sanded a little so everything's nice and smooth, also with these blocks. And then we'll get the top side covered, and that's going to be all good, hopefully. And then we have the X-130 wings partially done. Then the next thing to do is get everything, the sides sanded, get the front sanded, make sure we've gotten up on the front, everything properly done up, and we can get a piece of balsa glued up front, and then we can sand everything nice and round, and then we'll be good. So let's get going. So guys, the wings inside are all done. The blocks have been CA'd in place, and everything has been sanded. We put some wood glue around the servo pocket, just to make sure that that never manages to escape with the servo anyway, because this has not that much support yet. I mean, of course with the skin it has a bunch of support, but if this rattles loose over time from the skin, if it's only glued with CA, that would not be too good with the servo attached to that. So just to be safe, since this is going to belong to a customer, we're going to do it like this, and for the customer service as well, because if I fly with it, it's not necessary anyway, because it's probably not going to live longer than a year. So, but if for customers who are going to fly this for longer times, and say just also if this thing lies in a hangar for a longer time, might slowly start getting like brittle slowly, and might not hold a long time. So that just holds a lot longer than the CA. And like said, for my aircraft it really doesn't matter, because they most likely don't live longer than a year. So yeah, but anyways, that's all nicely done, and nicely done up with a brush, so it doesn't look too ugly, and that there's not a bunch of X's. So next step to do is to get all the covering on. Still have to figure out which one we should do first, because obviously on the bottom side, which we had on the top before, we took this panel, the biggest panel, first, because we had our servo pocket which we could align everything with. But I think for this one it's smarter to take the back panel as a first panel, because we can kind of build up from the back forward. So we'll probably do back panel first, then these two, and then this one, because this one's kind of cornered in then, and like that we have a nice way to make sure that nothing's in the place where it shouldn't be. So let's get going. So guys, all the sides are finished, covered with wood. As you guys can see, we got a bit of a gap here, so you definitely have to put this piece, this back piece, wait, let me put it down. So this piece first, and then this piece, and then this piece, otherwise you'll have this, because this piece is crooked, it's on both wings. So this one is a bit bigger, but it's no biggie. So yeah, anyways, next step to do after that is to sand this down to the wooden rib, just like so, usually until it's all white. Usually use a permagrit thing, but my permagrit thingy here is covered with carbon. Usually use this side because I was a smart ass and I thought I could start sanding the carbon as soon as long as while it was like almost cured, but that just ended up with the glue. I didn't know why I didn't throw it away yet, but I have to get another one. So yeah, but anyway, until after I can't speak. After you got that done, you go ahead and glue from some of your scraps this up front, and then you go ahead with the permagrit thing again usually, and you just sand it round and make sure you have a nice leading edge. So yeah, just a before and after. So that's, you want to sand this and not sand anything else, because after the leading edge is done, you then proceed with leading edge on already to sand the sides all beautiful. You could already do the back end, but yeah, whatever. So after the leading edge is done, we'll sand the rest, and then we could start getting the ailerons out. So let's get going. So guys, now that everything has been sanded, so I just want to show you. So this is what it looks like without the balsa on the point. I mean, I put it on, but I sanded it all off because I didn't need it. And then here I needed it a little, so here's it with balsa. Obviously, I don't think on the X-130 you really need it too much, because it's very pointy in general, the wing in front, the profile. But on something like the Interceptor, you have a fairly thick profile, so it's fairly needed. But yeah, so yeah, it has been all sanded everywhere. The back, obviously, in the back you sand until you see this thing, or until you touch it, which is the thin piece inside, like the thin wooden piece, you know what I mean? This one right here. So you kind of sand until here. That's broken. Have to get that fixed. But yeah, then you just sand here. And up top here, with that you also sand these little things there. That's looking all good and fantastic. I see a little filler work here and there. Next thing you can do is you'll make sure you do this. Make sure you pour CA down here until the line where you have to cut out. I like taking my finger or just some cloth, just wipe over it to make it nice and flush. Then do kicker, do that on both sides, as you guys can see, and then you go ahead and cut this out with whatever you have. I think I might use my Dremel, because the only thing you need a bit of a more aggressive bit forced to get through right there, as you can see, through this little piece of wood here, and then it should just be balsa. So that rest should be all straight and forward. Also, something you can do is just take your Stanley knife and cut over and over again with the ruler. It's really, you can choose the method you prefer. So I might honestly do with the Stanley knife first and then use a Dremel or something like that, or a saw. So let's get going. So guys, when breaking out these surfaces, what you want to make sure that you are on a hard top, having the wing on the edge like this, and then you just hold the wing and you just want to like fully pop it out, and it very simply pops out. But if you do not have it on a hard surface, then this is what happens, and it won't pop out easily. So I had it lying on the foam pad, and obviously the foam pad gives, and yeah, and then you get this. But anyways, you will sand that out, and you almost can't see it anymore, and we'll have to do a bit of spackling work there, but whatever. But yeah, just so you know, hard top if you don't want that happening, but rather the aileron still looks good. So what I ended up doing is I cut this with the Stanley knife, and then just took the saw and just cut the little piece right there. Focus. Okay, yeah, the little piece right there with the saw. Just that one in there. Maybe here you can see it better. No, it's still the same. You can see wood glue. That's going to be a pain in the butt to sand properly. Yeah, also a mistake I made is I had glue. If you look right there, I have glue there. You're not supposed to have glue there. Between this rib, this back section, and this thing here, there should not be any glue on these ribs. Right here, in between these two sections, so it's easier to break out. Because like that, if you don't have any glue on that, but glue on the back side, you kind of have two ways of it breaking off, like here and down here, because there's no glue up here. But because I had this top piece glued here, it was harder for it to break out. So just like one or two small things you have to look out for to get a nice clean break. Yeah, next thing to do, on these you don't, but I like taking my clippers and just clipping these out right there, just like we clipped off the standoffs. And then you can go ahead with your permagrit sander, which I'm still using because it's the only thing that works very well, even though it's totally broken. And you just sand it flush. You seal the edges with CA nicely if it's not sealed properly already. So before you start sanding, you do that. But I think we got fairly good seal everywhere. Yeah, and then afterwards, as you can see, our backing is already in here. After that is done, there are, where is it? Oh, I'll have to find it. Here, there are these beautiful pieces that are pre-laser cut, and then you just have to drill into the blocks. So yeah, let's get moving with these. Okay, whatever, let's get going. So guys, this is what everything looks like when it's finished. So the aileron's out, all been sanded flush everywhere, our piece put on, that's already pre-lasered, And then we've gotten everything else sanded nicely to fit. Same thing here. Everything sanded nicely. Only thing left to do here is to Dremel out the holes, which I won't do yet now because I'm still going to do some spackling. This wing's already got spackle on it, just over all the joints, and little dents we put in, just so that this entire plane is going to be perfectly finished for fiberglassing or monocoating, vinyl applying, whatever you want to do with the plane. So, yep. Let's go ahead and get some putty on here, then we'll get continuing on the rudder, and then we'll do the fuselage. Then we'll do the rudder, and then the canards, the top side, and then the fuselage. So let's get going. So guys, the rudder is basically done. So rudder was a little more, work efficient, need a bit more work because this plank has to slip in right there, and I had to do a bit of sanding just so this slips in better, that everything works out nicely. And yeah, other than that, there was no big issue. Obviously, we did this thing first again since we have our servo lid and then the back portion. And then we went ahead and did the next step, which is basically just going ahead, snipping off all our pieces up here. And I used some wood glue, like always, to go around these critical areas right here. And then we put our blocks in, sanded everything like on the other surfaces. And now we're going to go ahead and get everything covered after we got everything vacuumed out. So for the covering, first thing we will be doing right here with the covering is going to be installing the back piece of the rudder, because we'll just align that with the back end of the plane, and then we'll kind of go forward from there. After that's done, we'll get this piece installed, then this piece slips over the rudder like so, different direction. And then we've gotten these little pieces to just simply glue in like this. Very simple, nothing too difficult. And then as soon as all that's done, we can start sanding our leading edge again and then get out our rudder. So let's get going. So guys, I've gotten the X-130 flipped over. All the other parts are finished, obviously, down here. So they all got spackle on it. And they're just resting for tomorrow. Tomorrow I can get those sanded off. So I think tomorrow we'll be completely finished with the X-130. And it's going to be ready for the customer. But yeah, the reason why it's flipped over, usually you are on top and you first do the top, because you've gotten your standoffs here to make sure it's straight and everything. But the only reason I want to start at the bottom side is because of these wooden pieces back here, because more around this area. The blocks and everything you can glue in from the other side, because obviously you've gotten the wooden boards right there. That would be absolutely no issue, but I want to get this entire structure where the servo mounts to glue them with wood glue to the balsa structure, so that it has maximum support. The same for this piece right there. So that's the only reason we've gotten the pieces right here. So where is the number? What's the number of this? Here. This is FN right there, and this is the same. So these go in like so around our servo lid, of course, and then these go in next to here, and that's what the slot is for, just for that to go down nicely. Yeah, and everything is gonna work out properly, hopefully. You've gotten the hole here, which never really properly aligns, but that's whatever. So, yeah, we can get the lining all right. That goes like that. Then we've gotten that up until there. Somewhat like that. Yeah, we've still got to sand this away. So, yeah, let's get this plank done, and then we can get it flipped over and get the top side going. So let's get going. So guys, I ended up saying we'll do this as soon as we're ready to put the top one on. We'll just do the bottom one first. So we're working on this top piece. This is FA, A for the first one. And this one's a little tricky because you have to move the wood a bit, and yeah. But first what I did is I just checked everywhere, because you want to be about half on every rib here, so you have space for the other plank to go on. And obviously the spacing between all the planks will vary a little depending on how you glued on the plank, and you'll just have to spackle a bit in the middle, which is no big drama. But anyway, so I first glued this corner on right there, and then from there on I glued this, because this is where the most stress was, and then we had a bulge here and a bulge here. So from there on we went forward, because we would have gone from here back down here, we wouldn't have gotten the bulge out, so we went down here slowly. But first, obviously after gluing this, we glued in the middle downwards and made sure we were everywhere in the middle on the wooden plank, while having our battery in, making sure that this is sitting properly. And we took the battery out, and I turned the plane the whole time to get glue under here, like on the leading edge of the wings. So yeah, next we'll do this one. I put a bit of tape on, because here we got the crack right there, and we're going to do the same procedure. So there will be a bit of a gap, just like so. Then I'll glue it on at this point right there, and we'll go forward from there. So let's get going. So guys, I made a bit of a mistake. You're supposed to put this plank on before this, because this kind of slips in there. But yeah, whatever. Anyway, this plank, very easy. The only reason you might have seen me put tape on here and using the balsa roller is because this is like thicker wood, or like strong wood. You can see this is the same one, and this almost doesn't bend, and then the balsa bends very easily. And this is also currently just something I'm thinking about a lot, because you have to do a very steep bend right here, and this wood like does not bend at all. So I'll have to see with some tape and balsa roller that I get that to bend halfway at least. As you can see here, this wood cracked right there again, and I had to fairly ugly cut a gap there, but we'll fill that up with wood and then spackle a little. So yeah, I'll have to figure out how to get that piece on, but these pieces aren't very hard other than that, because they just go up here and a bit of a curvature, but not a lot. And yeah, probably not going to be that hard. After that, we'll have the pieces down here, which will also be a breeze. I think the only really hard parts on the top side is this and this, and these ones in front will be a bit more difficult, because you have gotten like these weird bends, because they're all like, you know, like going 90 degrees around a corner, made looking more beautiful than a 90-degree bend. So yep, let's continue. So guys, got the side on. Was alright. I mean, there was a bunch of bottle rolling involved and I had the whole thing taped up. But essentially everything worked out very well. So what I did is I tilted it to the side. As you can see down there, I first went ahead gluing in there to the edge, which at the back was a bit of a mistake because that's why I ended up. On the next side, I'm going to stop right here because from this point you kind of have to deform the wood a little like this to get up here, because now I'll probably have to do some trimming to get this former on properly, but it is what it is. And then at the end of the day, I did everything up. I always had it on the side. Let's say run in and glued down like on the leading edge of the wing, and up front here I did this one last, and all worked out. So I'll do the other side and I'll continue. I don't think any other ones will be all too difficult, and I'll report back as soon as I find a challenge. So let's get going. Top of the front end is done, basically. So this one is FE, and I first put FF up here. And I don't even know how I managed that, because I checked the manual like right before I was about to put it on. And I was like literally an hour on the stupid plank here, trying to get it around this curve. And I was like, why is this not working? This is terrible. I used up like a bunch of glue to get it done. And yeah, and I ended up ripping it off, because as soon as I tried putting FE down here, I noticed that there's like no way this is gonna work. And I checked the manual again, and I noticed I switched them up. So I had to rip this one off, and I just made myself another one out of some spare wood I still had. That's why there are like these little holes in there, because I had to pin them together. But yeah, this one went on very easy, fitted well up top. Just in the front, they're all kind of splitting apart. Here we've gotten it here, the split. Here we've gotten it there, whatever. This is all sanded a bit already. Before sanding, this looks terrible, but that's fine, because we have extra because of that with the 2mm planks that are thicker, to be able to do quite a bit of sanding to get everything nice, smooth and round. So, yep. And another trick on the front end, if you get like indents, if it fully dents in, what I like doing is I push it in a way that the indent goes away, and then I just go ahead from the bottom. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bunch of CA. Yeah, I basically just pour a bunch of CA from the back and make that fit properly. Yeah, so I think the next ones we'll be doing, probably these two up here, something like that will probably be next, because we can fit them around this piece right there. And then as soon as we've gotten those on, we'll put the I think this one goes on first. So before we put this one on, we already talked about this, we wanted to do the bottom one so we can get this all wood glued in place nicely. So let's get going. I don't think we'll do any more interfering, because we've gotten quite a bit of work to do. I managed to get a crack in here. We'll get that out as well. That I'll do with the same technique. Just push down like this from the outside, and then fill from the inside with a bunch of CA. So let's get going. done. The back one's very easy. First thing I did is glue them to the plywood, then shaped it around there, very easy. Bottom one also very easy. I just spot glued on the bottom these pieces and put this, which like slides over like that, and then I spot glued here and along there, and flipped it around and just glued from the inside, as you guys can see. And yeah, here we gotten everything with glue around the perimeter everywhere. Blocks are in, held in place with some CA, and yeah, that's looking all good. And yeah, next thing to do, top side, these side skirts, and then we are wrapped up for the top, I think. And then we can still do this guy, but I think I'll do this guy last. So I'll do gear doors and stuff like this last, after we already went ahead and did some sanding. I think that's when I'll get doing this part, some of the other parts. So, yep, that's the plan. Let's get going. I have a better idea on how to get this done than in the manual. So I've gotten the manual opened. So for me, out of some reason, it doesn't quite go above this, even though I am fitting it first. I'm fitting it against here. So this is glued against the underskin right there, and this just tucks in between these both skins properly, and then it's supposed to tuck under here. But what I've done is a bit different. I'm doing it like on the wings, because like that it's very hard to get this curve nicely done if you try tucking them under each other. So what I did is I tucked this one over the other one like we do on the wing usually. So this is kind of like the balsa strip we glue on top. This is just cut flush with a knife. You can also sand it if you want to, and then at the end you just sand it round, which gives you a beautiful curved edge, as you can see. So this is flat, and that will then later on all be glued like this, as you guys can see, and then it will be nicely sanded. As you guys can see here, this does not go over here for me, so I'll have to add some wood there. But anyway, I'm going first and gluing it here until this rib right there. And now what I'll do, because this one is quite weird, as you guys can see, this has to tuck underneath here. But it works, you just need some patience. So that tucks under there, works out well. And then you just have to kind of push it in so it sits nice and flush. So that's what we're going to do next here, is I'll just tuck that in and get the rest of this glued. So that's a bit of a tip time. I know this looks weird right now if you tuck it in like this, but I promise you it works. So let's get going. So guys, it's bedtime for me. So yep, basically finished. This is what this looks like without sanding. As you can see, it overlaps nicely, but still manages to touch everywhere. It's nicely glued everywhere. And on this portion, this didn't go out as well. We'll fill that. So honestly, I'll talk with Tom, because the way he listed it in the manual is not the smartest way, because I really want to change that. So it's easier for you guys, because I mean, this is the third one I think Tom built in the manual. And I mean, he obviously knew already. He's the one who designed the plane, how to build it. And I feel like the first thing you should start with is this here, FA, these two up top. You can put FC on already, so put FC on FA while it's in the template here. Don't put these on yet. Wait, just wait, hold on a sec. Put FE and FF in next, so you've gotten the entire front section here done, because as soon as you've gotten this done and the spacing back here good, it's way easier to put the top one on. And so now you've got an FE, FF, FA up top here, and this side skirt piece right there on. And the next thing you're gonna do is you'll take the bottom one of this, put it on, so you're able to, when you put the bottom one on, it's easier to glue first of all without this one on. Second of all, it's gonna make sure you have good access to wood glue your servo hatches. And then I would put this on, so you've basically gotten this entire thing naked back here, except for these planks on both sides. And then you've gotten this piece done. And as soon as you're on this step, imagine this piece right here, and this top piece is not on yet. So as soon as you've gotten only this here and this here in this back portion, and this entire front portion would be covered, then you go ahead and take it out of your template, and you can burn it whatever you want, because from there on it's impossible for you to make sure that it turns anyhow. I mean, I never had it in the template while putting the top on. I only had some weights in it while putting the front ones on. That's the only thing where I'd really want you to have it in the template. Make sure nothing warps or anything like that, is for these two right here and this front section. So what you'd have done at this point is this front section, this side skirt piece on, and both sides here done. I also did this bottom piece right there right now, and these side skirts on. And at that point you have basically all the flexibility out. You can take it out of your out of the template, but honestly I don't know, because these two without in the template, it would be a nightmare. It would really be a nightmare, because it was already hard without the template, me being able to turn it. So I don't know what you would do at that point, but still. Then as soon as you've gotten that done, next step is to move from here upwards onto this. Obviously you'll have this one sanded flush, move upwards to this. Then as soon as you've gotten this on, you won't have issues here, so you'll have a nice proper fit right here, and this will work out all beautiful. So you'll have this on, and this on at this point. And since you've gotten those done, you can now go ahead and put these two on, since these two nicely insert here everywhere into this slot nicely. You can nicely put everything in, making sure your gaps are all right, because the least important gap is the gap up top. That's how I would go from the bottom upwards, because this one is like a gap that can be as pointy as you want. You can just sand it flat and filler if you want, or add more wood. And then the last section on top would be this, in my opinion, because same thing here, if these are a bit too far up, you could easily trim this here back to the, if this stands out, if this is proud, the balsa, you could easily sand it back to its original shape, because you've gotten the plywood right here, which would give you a nice guideline, and you could easily cut a bit of this section if it's proud on one side. So that's why I would kind of slowly go front first, then these rails, side rails, and then the top, probably the side skirt, and then from there on move upwards. I also thought it would just be smarter to go ahead and go upwards, put this on, and then the side skirt, but the side skirt lets itself nicely sand to the side of the ribs, and then you can just glue this up top. So that's the easiest way. Honestly, I'd do it like this. I'm gonna do it like this, and on the next X-130s I'm gonna build, because it's just would be way easier and save so much of a headache. But we might update the manual. And Tom said with this one, this is kind of like the final prototype. I mean, it's worthy for production already, but it's like I'm gonna build it fairly quickly, because I build quickly, and just gonna tell him if there are a few more things we have to see and change, and we'll change a few more things, and that's gonna be basically it. So I'm gonna go to sleep now. Tomorrow, obviously the only reason I'm going to sleep now is because I don't want to be loud for sanding, and it's very loud to clip off the standoffs at the bottom. But other than that, we are looking good. So let's continue. We're gonna snip off the standoffs at the bottom and then get the bottom side done. I don't think there will be any complications there, but if they are, I'll tune in and tell you. Let's get going. So guys, just the entire day today I spent with the interceptor, because that what I just did with the interceptor probably took the longest from everything. And now we're gonna continue with the X-130. So I've already prepared this one, and it probably would have been the smartest if I would have done this piece first before basically any other ones above to get it fit properly. But I think this edge back there will just get fitted last, and I used balsa roller a bunch, and tape I'll use probably even more balsa roller, but I don't think we can prevent this from cracking somewhat, because this is also one of the stiffer pieces. The other piece is all balsa, so I think the other piece will be fine with a balsa roller, but I don't think this will be. So it is what it is. We'll get those installed, and then I think before I go ahead and kill myself with the front ones, I think I'll do some nice work and do the back ones. So let's get going. So guys, all the planking is done now, and yeah, this is what the plane looks like after planking. No sanding yet, except for we sanded this because this used to be terrible. So we sanded this because the corners were obviously punching through, but everything else not sanded yet. You can see ugly corners here and there. Honestly, planking went very well. The only very annoying thing I find is that some of these balsa pieces aren't balsa pieces, but like hard pieces of wood. Like here, this should have been no problem at all, but it just cracked. And on this side, there's absolutely no problem. Here, this joint slipped up because there was not enough glue on it. Then here's a hard piece again. So yeah, you can see, and this is a lot of corners right now. And yeah, so this is FA. Then I think with FB. So these two, I first mixed them up, so I have the pin marks in it again because I had to redo it. But yeah, as you can see, honestly, it does not look very perfect. But this is before sanding. As soon as you take your permagrate block or a sanding block and go over every edges and everything, it will look way better. So we'll get that done. We have to make sure that the nose gets mounted. So I think the first thing we might do is get the sign in a way so I can get the nose on. And we'll put some screws in here and then clip those off and put the nose on like you do the winglets on the interceptor. And that will work out beautifully. Then we'll take our permagrit and sand all the edges down flush, and then we'll sand normal, and then we'll go ahead with wood pieces and fill the big gaps, like here. These gaps will get filled with wood pieces, and as soon as we are happy, before filling anything, we'll complete our gear doors, because we always have to sand the insides. We'll complete our gear doors, make sure that they all have the correct shape, and we have to do our hatch up there. So I want to do that last, as one of the last steps, because the hatch needs some epoxy for the pins. And yeah, other than that, we're good. And at the end of the day, we'll have to pop these out. So it's looking good. Honestly, this thing, I can't wait to get my own, because this thing is amazing, and it's honestly not very small either. So yeah, and also very light right now. So yeah, let's continue. So guys, I'll stop for today. Just fitted the rudder. Honestly, fits beautiful. Haven't sanded that yet, but start sanding. The sanding obviously makes a bunch of change. This looks a lot better. You see, we don't have any hard edges anymore. Nose is on. Bottom isn't, but I'm just being too loud with the sanding, so I'll leave it. But everywhere it's nice. This is also nice. I got everything sanded here. We have gotten quite some nice fitment on the intake. Up here I'll probably just put some wood on the intake to make that fit better, but on the bottom here we've gotten very nice fitment, and I can draw this properly here. The inside also looking good, so you can see inside and up here gotten a bit of gap. This has to be sanded, but yeah, while I'm gone, because I'm gone for next week, not in Vienna. My father said he'll continue on this thing, and hopefully we'll have all the gaps filled and spackle done, so we can do a few fast final details. Already got this sanded flat to get our balsa piece on, and we've gotten this hatch done. We'll probably cut a bit of here because this is too much. The entire section we just need in the middle some. So yeah, but as you can see, we got these glued in. You have to get these spot glued in with CA. As soon as you've gotten one side done, you just kind of slip them in, and then you get them spot glued on the back. I just did it with a piece of CA, and that was it. And then now we've gotten some epoxy, some 24-hour epoxy mixed up with some carbon bits, and then I tooled it a little with the glove finger, and I put a bunch of lubricant oil on here, shock oil, to make sure that those can get glued shut, and also just to lubricate them, make them work nicely. So yeah, everything looking good. Very happy. This thing is honestly getting pretty big, and yeah, really love this X-130. Like I said, can't wait to get mine done. And yeah, but first we have to finish the interceptor, then a squall, and then we can build ourselves an X-130. So yep, let's get going. And the next clip you'll see, you'll have time lapse again now, but next clip you'll see will be hopefully all finished with sanding and stuff like that. Yeah, let's get going. So guys, top side is actually finished. Just sanded the bottom side, also pretty good looking. Just gotta get this filled up one more time, and there's like something. So guys, top side is basically finished of the plane, and yeah, I moved it to the bottom side. There was some spackle on here previously, which my father put on. I sanded that off, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. There are only a few minor spots that still need some spackling, like here, there we need some spackling, a little on these edges. These edges were kind of rough, And I'll just fill this up one more time on both sides, also in the front here. The next step to do is getting the gear doors installed. So let's get that done now. Or not the gear doors, I'm sorry. I mean the covering for the doors, which I've gotten right down here. Obviously, we've gotten the easiest one. I think this is this one. So it's the front gear door, just one straight plank. And then the back gear doors are always 2 planks per door, one lower section, one top section. So let's get going. So guys, just a little tip I want to give right here. So basically one side is already done, so I basically just glued from the inside, makes it nice and beautiful. So for the nose gear doors, they're always the same, so it kind of is always like rubbing a little here, so you kind of need this gap right there. So you'll always have this gap, but we always can fill this gap, and that's going to be beautiful. Here I first wanted to do this side, but because this is the side where this entire piece and everything is not quite the way it should be, I kind of start with this side, which worked out beautifully. Obviously still a bit of fitting to do. We'll fill this a little. Everything looking pretty good and beautiful here. And then the tip I want to show you is for these curves. How to get these curves done properly is I first, with the angle I want on this stuff, CA, so interlock this with each other, and then CA this a little here, but you let the CA soak in so it doesn't harm, or you don't have a hard piece of CA, and then at the end you just go ahead and fill it in. So this piece does not come until here, and that the reason for that is just so this can interlock properly. The next thing I'll be doing is, as you can see, no balls or roll or needed on this one, just smoothly tuck it over. This is like literally a life hack. Otherwise, if you try doing it a different way, it'd be hard, really hard. But like this, as you can see, you get beautiful curve, and it's amazing. So let's continue. So guys, it would definitely be better if I built this door. This door is, I don't know what's wrong with this one. This door is pretty good. Still have to cut the gap here. There has to be a bit of a gap, otherwise the system just doesn't work properly. And then I'll make sure that the gaps are fairly nice all around. But other than that, looking good. We have to add a bit of wood here. Just put some spackle on this today before going to sleep. And this thing will be essentially ready to go. So yeah, let's continue. So guys, yeah, looking good. Landing here at the bottom. Honestly, I had a wicked solution for the middle. I gotta be careful. So, because there's this huge gap here, because when this opens, you only are able to open about this much, because imagine there's 2 millimeters of balls on top of that, and this fine, the 2 doors would just bind. And like this, they don't bind, they go nicely. I also did the sides, will look nice now. This obviously still, I'm gonna put some spackle on, and we'll sign it tomorrow. This will be beautiful. Right now it doesn't look good, but it's more about the gap right now. Then we still have to do this, just before, like my mother's already sleeping and everything, but before they really go to sleep, I want to cut these out, because it's loud. And yeah, looking good. These were probably the easiest from all of them, because also I still have to sand a bit, but basically I went with the saw right here, just cut here, cut back here, took a Stanley knife and a ruler, cut along, and then they literally fall out. So I would not recommend breaking this out, because you somehow have to support this properly. I don't think with your hand is enough, and you have the risk of, if the wood isn't properly glued to this rib, to ripping like the wood up here, something like that, like I did on the wing. So you definitely want to do it like this, and why not do it like this if you get a clean break like that. But yeah, next thing I'll be doing is front gear door, this hatch, and then I'll be applying spackle for the last time. And then this thing is going to be completely finished, basically, or ready for the customer. So on the weekend, we're driving out to Tom. do some flying with his EDF 120 interceptor. We'll be giving this plane over. I'll be getting a new squall. There are some new modifications on the new squall. And yeah. And also there's quite a fun announcement. Sorry for my hair. Just showered because I was upstairs signing the interceptor. A quite fun announcement is we might be having a new sport jet, or it's not a sport jet, it's going to be around 2.30 meters, a 3D jet, like a 3D trainer, and it's currently looking absolutely insane. Maybe I'll put one picture of it, one picture of the pre-look. It's not completely finished yet, but like the blueprint. Maybe I'll put one picture in the end of the video, because me and Tom has been working on it. I've been just telling him kind of what to do. But yeah, it's honestly, it's something complete, because Tom did not want to have, honestly, we had a big argument, because I wanted a sport jet, which I can fly, which is like perfectly stable in every position and used for 3D and everything. And he said he doesn't want to do a sport jet because there are a billion sport jets already. They all look the same. So our mission was to create a sport jet which does not look the same like all the other ones, which is really something unique. And this one is unique. It is unique. It's not unique in an ugly way. It honestly is unique in a really aggressive and amazing way. So, yep, let's get this finished. So guys, very successful day. Yeah, basically, we've gotten speckle on everywhere. We did an amazing job with getting, let me get my knife so I can show you the alignment. Obviously you can see this array looks way more beautiful even though it's not sanded yet. But we've gotten beautiful alignment here. And then I changed the hatch as well. You can see these are all soaked with thin say, since this is gonna get taken off and dinged and scratched. But that fits with, there's absolutely no gap on those, which is amazing. And I've just added a bit of spackle here and there where I still need to, and this is the last time. Get the corners here and also on there. But yeah, there's just a bit of sanding to do tomorrow, then some drilling for the hinges and the cutting of the carbon rods, and then we're completely done with this plane. And we still have to do a bit of sanding because we filled this, but other than that we really are looking amazing. So let's continue tomorrow. Let's get going. So guys, all of our surfaces are basically done. There's a few final things. Drilled out the hole, was it just as big as the little holes in the wood, the plywood. Then the rudders are a little tricky. You want to have the hinges on here and you kind of flip it in like on all the other Tom jets. On the wings I added a piece of false here to make the gap smaller. Now you cannot get, because the original gap was the gap so you can get maximum deflection. Now you can't get all the deflection, but I can tell you from experience with this plane, the deflection that you can get now is way more than enough. It just doesn't, you just can't go as much up anymore that this hits, you know, it will hit here somewhere before, just because of the angle of things. If you would want that there's no interference, you would have had to cut this here, but that wouldn't have looked as cool. So yeah, whatever, all of this works. One crucial step I did is I got all of the plywood here. It's all fully soaked with CA, so it's nice and strong. Because what I found is if you only soak the edges, what will happen is it will find other ways to strip, and like this it really cannot find another way to strip, and it just ensures that everything is nicely glued to the skin one final time. So yeah, basically all of those little things are done. Did a bit of sanding, everything's looking beautiful. Gear doors are looking amazing now, and they also work amazing. This one is a little squeaky. As you guys can see, this one works better. That's because this rib is like crooked a little. But yeah, this also got soaked, and you want to let this air dry so it can really fully soak in. But yeah, next step to do, I think the last step, no, the very last step I'll do is I still have 1 or 2 parts to put carbon on, and we will glue this rod and this carbon rod to stiffen it up a little more. And the next thing to do is cut the carbon rods for the wing, which are down here. Yeah, let's get going. So guys, here she is in her full glory. Honestly, this plane looks amazing. Fairly big plane. Yeah, honestly, this plane is absolutely amazing. It looks so cool. Such an amazing aircraft. You should honestly get one. This thing, and it flies so beautiful. Like, a lot of people probably are deceived by the wing shape and because it hasn't been done properly before. But this thing with the right settings flies so amazing. So amazing. And especially easy as well. So it's not very hard to fly. But yeah, this thing is looking awesome. Really amazing. Really amazing. Yep. I'll get that spar glued and some little other things. I won't get these installed, but there's like, where's this one thing we've gotten that we've gotten tank cap already done in carbon, but this piece has to be done in carbon, and we'll glue this spar instead of the other spar, and then we're done with this plane. And tomorrow we'll do some final pictures, and then we'll wrap it in bubble wrap, vacuum it out from the inside, and we're good to go. So let's get going. So guys, I'll mix up some epoxy. Got my carbon cutout. This is something else for the yak. Trying to make some molds for the gear doors. I'm just going to do a test thing on that. But yeah, this is the carbon for here. So that will be laid over and done. And then I think I have to put that somewhere. Or yeah, like I think I'll put something like foil underneath here or something like that. But anyway, let's get going with all the work. So guys, I just weighed this thing because I was curious, and this thing weighs nothing. It's 3.1 kilograms the way it is right now, ready for either vinyl applying. So I think if you put vinyl on it, you can get it under 4 kilos, like far under 4 kilos, like 3.5, and you'd be ready for electronic install, which is nothing for a 2.50 m aircraft. And there's a bunch of structure in this thing, so that's amazing. And I think if you fiberglass it after paint, if you're good at fiberglassing, you don't have to spackle too much. Or let's say there's not too much spackle residue at the end, because you'll probably go over the surfaces with a fairly thin coat, depending on how well the fiberglassing was. But I think you can get with fully painted around maybe 4 kilos on the dot, I think. And that's honestly amazing. That is almost nothing for a 2.50 m aircraft. So that really is not a lot. That's not a lot. So yeah, I got this done, as you can see. And I'm gonna now go ahead, since all of our things say nicely, so everything up, get our lid screwed on, and then I'll slowly start putting everything in bags, like all of our stuff that the customer will need. Put our servo lids back on, put our little control horns, beautiful carbon horns, into a little bag and stuff like that. So yep, let's get going, and we have to glue in our spar. Then I'll be finished for today. So I'll do that with some aero epoxy and some of the carbon powder, but not too much because we want the aero epoxy to stay fairly thin. So let's get going. So guys, I'm gonna approach this a little bit more differently. So what I did here is I took a bunch of chips out of this thing so that we have a bunch of grip area, because if this would have just been the raw thing, there would have been no space for the epoxy to get into and to grip properly. And the carbon tube from the inside is rough anyway. So like this, there's enough pores for the epoxy to get into and grip to the carbon tube, because we want to make sure that this cannot twist from side to side. And what I'm going to be using, I first wanted to use air epoxy, but that's a bit too thick. So what I'm using is going to be some coating resin, which is not normal resin, it's coating resin, which means it's a little thicker, but it has essentially, it's the same thing. It's the same strength, it's just a bit thicker, which makes sure that it doesn't run too much. And we'll still be adding some carbon balls or some carbon microballoons to make sure we get maximum bond, carbon to carbon and to the wood. And basic goal here is to soak the entire piece of wood and to make sure there's no air in here anymore. So I filled the ends, or I put the tape on the ends so we don't get that dirty. And then what we'll probably do is, like, I don't know, put like a lid on the end or something like that. I guess I'll figure it out. So let's get going. So guys, as you guys can see, no X-130 here anymore. I've got my new squall here already. Already started on that. So yesterday we were at a little event. If you're on Facebook or on my Instagram, was my first post on my Instagram. Then you saw we were like in Linz, like at the flying field right at the Danube. It was honestly quite fun. But I mean, I thought about making a video, but we didn't. Christoph also was there and a few friends. Was just like a little Tom Jets meeting. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Got ourselves a squall. Got ourselves some goodies for the interceptor that we needed. Thrust pipe and some tanks. But yeah, so the X-130, Tom took that and it's going to the customer. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please hit that like button and subscribe if you like the videos, if you want to see more of these videos. And yeah, I'm always up for some feedback if you want to see or tell me what I can do better in my next video. I'm always up for that. I always enjoy reading your comments when I get some. And yeah, anyways, there is something new coming from Tom Jets, so be waiting for that. I won't put a picture in yet. But it's a sports jet. It's a very unique sports jet. But yeah, further ado, next few videos you guys will be getting. I'm making a video on the squall, but it's like one video where I fully build it up from bottom, glassing, painting, and electronic install. It's everything in one video, I mean time lapse. So that will be out in like maybe in like about a month time from now, something like that, I guess. But yeah, next video you guys should be getting is the interceptor videos or a video on the X-130. So I hope you enjoy those. I'm definitely stoked to get my X-130 also built, since that was a lot of fun getting the other one built. It was obviously my first one, so there was quite a bit of spackling involved, because obviously it was my first one and maybe I rushed it a bit too much. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. We're almost at 500 subscribers, so that honestly be amazing if we could hit that soon. And without further ado, see you guys in the next one.